Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, solar energy has been around for decades, but now, thanks to progressive policies and a clean environment and concentrating on green energy, it's really enjoying its day in the sun. To talk about that, Michael Martin, MM Solar Advisory. Thanks for coming on the show.
I'm delighted to be here, Jeff. Appreciate the invitation. Thanks.
Well, I want to hear your journey first, because you didn't start out in solar, did you?
No, I often say that I didn't start this way. And after being in the software and information technology industry for 2+ decades, which was kind of an intellectual decision to do that, coming out of college. For me, then, getting in touch with the real mission and purpose and impact that I wanted to have in my work career as I'm raising my 4 kids and just being a more wise guy in my community, growing up in my community, I decided that solar energy would be a great place for me. And that was triggered by the growth of wind industry that really started in West Texas 20 years ago, which we all heard about. And so that's, I'm a second career guy, and so it can be done.
I love it. And you focus on commercial, is that right?
Yes, and you may know there's the residential solar, there's the commercial solar, and then there's the big West Texas, utility solar, as we call it, which is the really big power plants.
Yes. Do you believe if more companies adopted solar energy, would it help us as a country enjoy energy independence?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of talk about this right now for many reasons, as we know. I mean, a lot of this in Texas really started a little over a year ago with the winter storm that was, of course, quite traumatic in many ways for our state in terms of grid reliability, everybody waking up to that, the deaths of a lot of people. But to your point, absolutely, that is the case, because sunlight's here and local. It's where you need it. Yeah. So you're real independent with solar energy.
Tell me how it works. Somebody brings you in to put in solar panels on their roof. Do they end up saving a ton of money?
Absolutely, over time. The economics are fantastic on it. And it depends on where you live. Solar is like politics and real estate. It's very local. Yes. So the story in Dallas, Texas, and how it works and its payback is different here than, let's say, on the West Coast, where power prices are much higher, for instance, right? So their payback's super fast. But it absolutely makes great sense here. And most building owners, certainly established companies, and in the case of residential, families living in a house for years and years or decades, they're going to be there. So even it depends on how you finance it, though. That's the answer is how will mine pay back depends on how you choose to finance. If you want to write the check versus you want to finance it, and how you finance it, and if you put any equity. So it just depends.
Ballpark, how long does it take to pay off?
Well, if you just write a check for it up front, probably 5 years plus or minus.
Yeah.
But if you go ahead and finance it, and there's plenty of capital in the market to finance your solar projects, then you can be cash flow wise in day one, saving from what you're paying otherwise to the grid, right?
Sure.
So it's a trade-off. You're still spending the dollars, but you're spending less, maybe equal at first, but then less over time, and it'll stay fixed as the grid power goes up. So your savings over time tends to increase.
Sure.
So.
And there's a lot of focus on energy right now with gas prices and a lot of talk about energy independence. Solar is an alternative, but it's not an either or, is it? It could be both, right?
Well, of course, the gas thing is all about transportation.
Right.
And when I use the word power and energy, I'm talking about electricity, right? For this place and my home, your home, et cetera. So there's that distinction. So we're not worried about price at the pump, but it's all kind of connected in the energy scheme. But our electricity prices are less impacted than that than the transportation fuels and all that for cars. But this is very much in line with the Texas spirit too, right? Independence. I want to generate my power on my building, again, whether it's your home or the business you own, and I'm going to control that now forever. So it fits great into our independent mindset of Texas, right?
So can we expect energy prices overall to go up this summer just because of the, I guess, all the pressure on the market? I mean, I'm making this up, but like, does the situation in the Ukraine cause inflation for electricity in Texas?
Well, it seems to be causing it. We're of course experiencing inflation in almost every aspect of the U.S. these days. So I would say yes. But moreover, just from a power perspective, most of the folks that do the financial modeling about the power markets in the U.S. generally use conservatively over the long term, 3% per year is kind of an escalation rate over time. But that might mean you have some years that really spike a lot more than others. So that's a 25-year kind of statement. And that's how the financing of solar works, is also using that to figure out what will your savings projection be over time. Right.
I haven't followed it closely. Has Biden done some stuff that makes it easier to adopt solar?
Well, they're working on that. Okay. They're actually, it's been very collaborative over the past, especially the last few years, where it's less of a partisan issue. It's like that this is a good thing for people everywhere. So we've had success with solar and wind all over the U.S., which is really good. That means now it's just like, what do we do to make it continue to be successful in all different markets around the U.S.? What Biden is trying to do is change some, I don't want to nerd out on some of the tax finance stuff, but there are some things we could do better with the way we provide tax incentives. For instance, nonprofits don't pay taxes. They can't use the big tax credit. Churches can't, schools can't. So they're talking about changing that so everybody can get a more of a rebate instead of a tax credit. So he's trying to get that done, but he hadn't had all those people in Congress yet cooperate. Sure. So I'm cheering for that. And I think it would be, it's keeping a giant part of our market out of the solar industry, which is nonprofits.
Yes.
That's crazy. Why would we want to keep them from doing it and only allow profitable, successful companies to take advantage of the tax credits?
I have to imagine you think about rooftops a lot. So as you're landing at DFW International and you're coming in, you're looking at all these rooftops and you're saying, look at all of that amazing real estate.
And love field too. Yeah. So, I've got a great story about that. So my oldest kid went to school in Santa Cruz, California. So to go to Santa Cruz, you fly into San Jose typically. It's the closest airport. When I would fly in to visit her, I would, look and I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'd count 16 landing, and then I'd leave a few days later, I'd count a dozen coming out. It's a bigger number today. So this is what I would do. To your exact point, I've done this exact exercise in other airports around the country. Wow. And I don't know of any you see coming in or out of DFW.
All right. In your dream world, in the next 50 years, when you're flying into DFW or Love Field, are you seeing just a sea of solar?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, for sure. Because here's the deal. I mean, the roof at this point basically do one thing. They keep the weather out, right? They protect whatever's in there. Mm-hmm. So it's this giant site, asset, whatever you want to call it, that is got no other productive value. This is great productive value for it. And when you cover a roof with solar panels, then that roof's going to last longer. Yes. So it then protects the building. It's got other thermal advantages too. So you're absolutely thinking the right way. We just need more building commercial property CEOs like you, Jeff, who will go, of course we should do this. Because you're just kind of setting me up here for all the good reasons, but this is just the reality of solar. It really is.
Okay, final thoughts. What would you like to leave the audience with?
I would like to leave certainly the commercial real estate market with try and move out of business as usual mindset here in DFW, because we have a very rich commercial real estate industry in this city, and it's been incredible what it's done for the growth here, and it's a big part of what attracts all the growth that's still just at a crazy rate right now. So let's look at how can we each contribute as building owners to cleaning up our air first off. That benefits everybody around here, and economically, then you're also going to have a power solution forever, and your CFO will like that because they don't have to worry about volatility from the market. And then investors will like it because all the investors now want to know that you're doing things that are environmentally sustainable, real stuff. Yes. Not just going out and planting some trees, but doing real stuff in your daily operations. So the economic value proposition, the brand value proposition is very compelling. So don't be fearful of that. Check it out, analyze it, and then deploy it on your roof, and you'll be really delighted you did.
Outstanding. We'll leave it at that. Michael Martin,
Super.
MM Solar Advisory. We're going to end with the website, which is mmsolaradvisory.com. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.